Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. It is 4:03 p.m. on Tuesday, April 14th, 2026, and I am calling to order the second quarter Urban Forestry Commission meeting of the City of Cleveland. Secretary Bay, can you please call the roll?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you. I'll go ahead and call our roll. Jennifer Chandler,
Here.
Xavier Bay here. Janan Berard,
Present.
Amon Danielson,
Here.
and Nikki Hudson,
Here.
Phil Jubert,
Here.
Whitney Long Jones, Brian Lopez, Laura Marks,
Here.
Sarah O'Keefe, had mentioned she'd be absent. Tom Schreiber,
Here.
Rick Swatowski,
Here.
and Sarah Tilley.
Here.
All right, Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Great. To kick us off here, Secretary Bay sent around the draft meetings from our quarter 1 meeting last week. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second? I second that motion. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Great. All right. Let's see. Little bit of unfinished business here, and by unfinished we mean in process. We did release an application for our 2 vacant seats. A couple weeks ago, we received 9 total applications. There was 1 applicant who had selected both the nonprofit seat and the resident representative seat. We had 1 for just the nonprofit seat and then 7 resident-only applications. These applications are currently under review, and we hope to have our new members joining us for the Q3 meeting in July. As a reminder, we still do not have a vice chair, so if anyone's interested in that role, let me know. Also happy to float that to our prospective new members here, but if anyone already on the commission is interested, would love to chat about that. I think that's it for unfinished business. We can go to, here we go. As a reminder, our next meeting is July 14th, same time, same place. And with that, just 3 minutes in, let's jump into committee updates. I will turn it over to Laura Marks for maintenance committee updates.
Well, I have no idea what happened at the last committee, the maintenance committee meeting, so I'd like Xavier to tell the commission and the public what happened.
Yes, this is Xavier Bay. I believe the last maintenance committee meeting, there were some issues between staff actually starting the meeting. So I actually was one of the staff who wasn't able to make it. I was not available at that time. From my understanding, the official public hearing wasn't able to start on our team software because it needs a staff member from the city with the correct permissions to actually start the webinar.
Now, following up on that, I'm not convinced that there is a maintenance committee. Do you have anything to report?
I don't have anything to report, no, but I do sit on that subcommittee.
Okay, so Janan will be graduating in May, and as far as I know, that leaves me as the committee, and if other people are interested, other than that, I think that the commission should consider as a whole whether we want a maintenance committee, and if not, are there other committees that that we think are more pertinent to what our goals are? Other than that, I've been working on the question of the overpopulation of deer in the city of Cleveland, because we can't grow trees in the city of Cleveland with the number of deer that we have. So I have a paper out here that shows the exponential growth of deer over time. It's a 30% per year growth rate. If it's left unchecked, which we are currently, that's our current management practice, if you want to call it that. I think that's what I have to report.
If I could briefly jump in here, I know the maintenance committee, when we met, perhaps a fall meeting in 2025, we went over 15 goals we had come up with and prioritize them, which I don't have those in front of me. But if we are considering reallocating the function of the maintenance committee, I think we should go back to those 15 goals and look at what have we addressed, what needs to be addressed, what could we reallocate, should we still have this committee? You know, I don't think we should just throw it away. Thank you, Laura and Janan. Apologies again for the mishap on that last maintenance committee meeting. I think some of your comments on just structuring of committees and roles and responsibilities will segue very well into a conversation that we would like to have later in this meeting. So, which I want to save plenty of time for. So with that, I will pass it to Tom Schreiber for the policy committee update.
Thank you so much. The policy committee has met twice since the full commission meeting in January, met on February 11th and on April 8th. In both cases, our agenda remained primarily focused on drafting specific motions for this full commission to recommend changes or updates to tree preservation and Chapter 509 tree code. As well as an exceptions policy for sidewalk replacement and tree conflict mitigation. The committee has taken this topic very seriously. We've been discussing it for many years. I think we're very close to finalizing a draft. In our last committee meeting, we discussed some of the finer points and details. So we're looking forward to looking at the text of those motions at our next meeting in 2 months.
Thank you, Tom. Sarah Tilley, Budget Committee update.
So from the Budget Committee, we had to reschedule our meeting that was on the docket in March. And it was rescheduled to April 3rd, the Friday, and I failed to realize that the city was not operating on Good Friday. So we can't start a meeting basically without the city because they're the only ones who can currently start the meeting. So we are scheduled again to meet on May 9th. And the agenda will remain the same, which is we're going to be hearing from the city because since we met in January, the budget was obviously passed by both council and adopted by council and the mayor. So we're hoping to have sort of a reset on what is going to be our sort of plan of action moving forward.
Thank you, Sarah. With that, let's jump into a presentation from Tom Schreiber on the Reforest Our City program.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for everybody's time. I'll try to keep this very quick. I serve on the Urban Forestry Commission as an arborist. I also have the privilege of leading a team at the Western Reserve Land Conservancy that is focused on the very direct work of reforesting Cleveland, and appreciate everybody's time today as I describe a little bit about our efforts. So our mission is to increase Cleveland's tree canopy by growing trees, advocating for mature trees, and empowering residents to do the same. Thank you. I'm going to highlight the word growing here. A key differentiator of our program from other programs is that we don't plant trees, we grow them. We start our commitment to the trees the day that the trees go into the ground. That's not the last day that we see the trees.
Sorry, there's a bit of a delay.
Thank you. Yeah, so a big focus of our work when I talk about growing trees are community tree plantings. We're typically invited by community development corporations, neighbors, other nonprofits, and residents to come plant in their neighborhood. We gather typically on Saturdays in the spring and fall, and working with the community install trees that we then maintain. It's a pretty complicated process for us to do a planting, and we have this flow chart that evolves over time. This is actually not the latest version of it, but what I wanted to highlight for everybody is that it's typically 6 to 8 months from the time that someone brings us a planting idea from the time that we put trees in the ground. A lot of people underestimate the complexity of every stage of tree planting, and what's really important and unique with us is there's a lot of engagement with the neighborhood. We do a ton of outreach, door knocking, tabling, working with partners and attending events, as well as hosting our own events in neighborhoods. We want to make sure that we're planting in places where people will welcome our work. This is a picture of our truck. We've been growing aggressively. We now have 3 of these that take off on Saturday morning at the very, very early hours of dawn, so we can get to our sites in time. And it's a picture of our facility, which we affectionately call the tree house. There's over 300 trees in this picture that we planted in the fall. The tree house is loaded up with our trees for spring right now. It looks very similar to this. We maintain all of this stock until it's planted, so we have irrigation available. And we make sure we're planting the highest quality nursery stock we can secure. We're growing a lot and are continuing to grow aggressively. This is a chart just showing the canopy that we're adding per year. The 2 biggest bars here, the purple and the blue, represent our tree giveaways and our direct tree planting. And then we also plant, the other bars here represent partner plantings, where we're supporting someone else who is a lead on a project, either with direct support, financial support, tools, consulting, labor, or experience. And it's a little small for me to see their contractor planting. Occasionally we engage contractors to plant trees for us in places where it doesn't make sense to do a volunteer event with the community. Our maintenance program really sets us apart. This summer, our team will water over 1,200 trees in Cleveland each week. It's really difficult labor. It's hard and loving work. The team does it with a tremendous passion. They go to the site. You can see these are just a sample of what our sites look like. They weed the mulch beds. They add mulch to any of our trees that need it. They make sure each tree is getting 15 gallons of water, usually delivered by these buckets. We do have hoses and other irrigation systems that we use when we can be efficient that way. We also engage the neighbors, because people think it's kind of funny when we show up with all these buckets. We're weird, and we make sure that we discuss what we're doing, why we're doing it, why trees are important, and we ask for partnership and help watching out for them. And we find that we have a really great relationship with neighbors. They're really grateful for our work, and it gives us a lot of energy to talk to them and work with them. And we also pick up the litter at all of our sites. So every tree should be in a welcoming green space. And we capture a lot of data. We do detailed record keeping for each of our maintenance interventions. Another picture of what our watering operation looks like. If you see us out there in the city, please say hi. It really is on those hot summer days when you're watering to 300 trees. It's a pretty intense operation. Last summer, we delivered over 43,000 gallons of water to these trees to get them started and established. Just an example of our detailed maintenance record. Every single intervention at a site includes a photo and a description of what happened there. We have this coded and we look at our data to make sure our program's getting better every year, more efficient, and doing the right things by both the trees and the community. We recognize, though, that most of the opportunity for canopy growth in Cleveland is on private land, in people's homes, in their front yards and backyards. So we offer 250 trees for free through our spring and fall Trees for Tree campaigns. We also offer the ability, so we typically distribute those trees at a community event where folks come and pick them up. For anybody who that's inconvenient for, we offer delivery. And for those who need assistance planting, we offer delivery and planting assistance. We use our tree steward network as well as our staff to go to people's houses who need the tree planted in their yard. It's a beautiful day and a wonderful experience to get to plant trees for people. And then a third pillar here of our program and really the heart and soul of what we do is our tree steward training and our network of trained tree stewards. We couldn't do this work without our volunteers. They are strong, they're passionate, they show up. They show up when it's pouring rain. And they work really, really hard to help us install these trees. We just had our planting lab on Saturday that was attended by over 30 members that are about to graduate in June from our tree steward training. We expect over 60 this year to graduate. In previous years, we've done about 30 a year. So this program is also growing and scaling, and we're extremely proud of it and count many members of the Urban Forestry Commission as alumni. And then finally, I'm just going to go through like what this looks like in a couple of quick maps. And I apologize to kind of zoom in and out and go all over the place. But every time we plant a tree during one of those community plantings, we record its information in a GIS system. We include the species, the condition, the stock type, the source. We take caliper measurement, and we take a bunch of photos. So we have very detailed record keeping of all of the trees. You can see where we've planted over the course of the 10-year history of our program. I'm going to zoom in to just one neighborhood. This is Buckeye Wood Hill, so you can start to see the community tree plantings and how focused on density of planting for two reasons. One, we know that that's where you get the benefits of canopy in a community is when you've got dense plantings where the canopy can touch each other. The other is a maintenance consideration. It's just much easier for us to water trees that are closer together than in disparate areas. The final reason is that it allows us to spend time in a very specific neighborhood, even specific blocks over the course of those 3 years of doing maintenance and build relationships with people in the community around these trees and sites. This is a picture of our tree stewards, their addresses. So you can see we've got a very, very rich network. I think there's over 300 trained tree stewards at this point. This map shows the trees that we've given away through our Trees for Clay program and where we've distributed them throughout the city. And I'll zoom in just into one neighborhood with all of those layers. This is the St. Clair Superior neighborhood. So the green dots you can see are trees that we directly planted. The orange dots you can see are tree stewards that we trained in this neighborhood. And then the sort of yellow dots represent trees that we've given away to residents to plant in their yards. So this integrated approach where we are working in all these different program areas really helps to establish both the canopy directly through the plants, but also a culture around trees and the importance of them for a neighborhood. And with that, invite anybody to come see this firsthand by themselves. Come plant with us. It's so much fun. Like, it's really, really awesome. I promise it's a great volunteer experience. You know, show up. We have good coffee. We even have good coffee. We're like a volunteer program with decent coffee. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn how to plant, and you get a real opportunity to make a difference. All of our events are on our website, and we really welcome anybody in the public to come join us. Thank you for the time. I'll take questions if anyone has them.
Quick question. First, just fantastic work, and thank you for showing us. Very cool. I was a little curious, how do you decide what species to plant? Either time, location, neighbor, what have you? How close to power lines?
That's an awesome question, and thanks for asking. It's very difficult, I will tell you. Species selection is something certified arborists spend a lot of time on. First, we try to plant native trees where possible. So it's our first preference to use a tree that is sort of native to Ohio and is likely to establish and grow well in our region. That's not always possible, especially when we're working in places that have a lot of road salt where there's difficulty finding a native tree that will survive. So first, we prefer native trees. Secondly, we're always looking to put the largest canopy effect we can in the space. So if we have a space that has no utility conflicts and is in a spot that can house it, we want a big tree there. We feel like we're losing the opportunity for ecosystem services and the massive and the best benefits if we're planting a smaller tree than the space can accommodate. That said, generally when we're working with neighbors and landowners and stakeholders, they're frequently prefer small flowering trees or frequently have a hesitancy to host sort of the generational trees that are really impactful. And we're very skilled at having that conversation and understanding that. But at the end of the day, we're going to be most successful if we're meeting folks where they are and what they want. We in our giveaways, we end up giving away a lot of dogwoods and redbuds because they're very, very popular. And it becomes a gateway to our program, right? We make a relationship, we build a relationship with someone, we get them into our tree steward training, and maybe we change and evolve their opinion towards, the trees and their impact. And I love dogwoods and redbuds as much as everybody else. They beautify the city. So thanks so much for the question.
I have a question. You mentioned the 43,000 gallons of water. Where does that water come from?
City hydrants, which is why we're so grateful for the changes that this body helped sponsor and push to the permitting process. We're going to save thousands of dollars in our water bill this year through the new permits. So we're really, really grateful for that.
So this came up, the permitting process for hydrants recently came up in a separate council meeting I was at. Can you describe what those changes are?
Oh gosh, yes. So we used, we used to apply for permits kind of the same way someone running a block party would, or someone who needed a hydrant temporarily for construction. We were kind of lumped in with them, so we were paying by MCF, by something cubic foot, metric, meter cubic foot, MCF. I'm not sure the acronym. The permitting changes now allow us to specify, first of all, a geographic area that we're going to water. So it can include multiple fire hydrants, which is really, really great. And then we can pay for we're not typically using the minimum amount of water required for the permit. So now we're able to purchase far fewer MCF. I think my water bill is going from like $6,000 to $1,500 just this year. But more importantly is that flexibility. Often it's very difficult to predict which hydrant is like the best hydrant to water that lot. and like you get to know the hydrants very well doing this work. And so that flexibility for the team to be able to use the hydrant closest to where they're working is just really valuable to us.
So the Western Reserve Land Conservancy applies for a hydrant permit, but that hydrant, it's not hydrant specific. It's citywide.
No, it's I don't remember the specific I think it's like within 4 blocks. So we basically we can look at a map. We spend kind of a lot of time triangulating this. We'll figure out where the density of our trees are, and then we provide an address, and then the permit specifies how many blocks from that address we can which hydrants we can use within that region.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Also amazing work. I have to add, my husband went through the tree steward program, so one of those dots on the map is my house.
Awesome. Thanks.
I have a question for you, Tom. So the giveaways, how do you ensure that, like, if you're not doing the planting, that it is being done properly? And do you still go back and maintain the ones that you give away, or?
So I'll answer the second question first. No, the trees that we give away are the responsibility, for the most part, of the homeowner to water. We give away smaller trees than we plant in our community plantings, which are less water intensive. We also provide information on the tree care that is required for those trees. But we accept a higher mortality in our giveaway trees than the trees that we plant specific, we plant during community plantings, or that we deliver and plant. What we found is that the tree giveaways, they really represent introduction to our programming, and they're really valuable at building relationships. And so we've had folks who, they'll plant a tree and it doesn't survive. They come back to us the next year. They're frequently getting their friends, neighbor, free tree is a free tree, right? So they're typically getting friends and neighbors associated with us. And some of them are renters, or they don't have space for a tree, but they'll become a tree steward. We believe a great number of these trees survive. They're excellent nursery stock, and we provide a lot of support. So we believe a large number of them are surviving, but we're not providing the same kind of guarantee as the trees that we plant during community plantings. We boast an over 90% survival rate on our trees that we're planting in the community, and that's because of the extensive maintenance that we do.
Any other questions for Tom from the commission? Well, that was an awesome presentation. Thank you so much, Tom. And now, making sure I'm not missing anything. Nope. I will hand it over to Phil for Urban Forestry Division updates.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Tom. That was great. Do you have the clicker? Oh, thanks. For some of our guests here today, Urban Forestry, we are a relatively new division. We were a division a long time ago, and I think was it the summer of 2024? I know this commission really helped establish the new division. So we are in officially year 2 of being a new division. First, thank you. Thank you to the volunteers. Thank you for nonprofits. And thank you for many of the commission members here today. Without the volunteer support, we would not have a community forestry operation. Urban Forestry does depend on the community. So first, thank you. Today, I want to talk about a few items here. Q1 highlights with the division. Introduce our new purpose statement. I do want to kind of go over high end or high level, some diagnostics that I've observed with our division. And I do have some requests here with the commission at the end. So this quarter, it was cold. I'm new to Cleveland, so very cold. I had spoken in front of council. This budget was designed before I arrived. It's, looking at the budget, we are within the ballpark of it being a good budget. But next year will be my budget that I'll pitch to Nikki and rest of the council. But it was a good experience. That those are recorded on YouTube, so take a look. Also, we had some early storms. We had an odd wind event in March, Friday the 13th. It started. It continued through that Sunday. That was the largest storm response that we've had in 2 years, based off our data. I think since August 2024. The bad news is we had not designed our storm playbook yet. We were hoping, storms would wait another month or two. The good news is we kind of learned on the fly, and I learned a lot about our team. Our storm response historically, when we were not a division, was poor and slow. It was unacceptable. Contractors, if the storm went through on a Friday, contractors would show up on Monday for the city of Cleveland. If the storm went through on Friday, the union laborers would show up on Monday. As commissioner, and because we're a new division, I put an end to that immediately. I enforced the contracts both with the vendors and with our staff, because I respect our staff members. They were out there for late Friday night. They pulled in 16-hour days, and they're on mandatory overtime throughout the weekend. And working with our contractors too as backup, they also brought in regional support. They are the parent company is Davey Tree, the largest tree service in the world. So they did bring in regional support. So it was chaotic during that storm. We had trees on homes. We had dozens of roads blocked. We had dozens of driveways blocked. And we have a lot of trees that fail from vacant properties onto homes as well. But our response was strong, and based on people I've spoken to, best response we've seen in many years. Our urban forestry division, this is our minimum responsibility that we provide to the community. It is storm and emergency response. I consider my staff to be emergency responders. Obviously, we're not firemen, we're not police, but we get the roads open. We do work in concert with the streets division as well, public works. So we're talking on a frequent basis to make sure that utilities can get restored and roads are opened. Also, here in the first quarter, I began the reorganization process, which we'll talk about in another slide here. But for us to mature as a unit, we need new staff members. We need new positions that provide functionality and services to the city. So I have begun that process, and that process will continue throughout this calendar year. Other just brief news, we did renew our Tree City USA. We're well over 40 years, I believe, of being a member. For the community at large, the main requirement is that a city has to spend $2 per capita on an urban forestry program. So we're well above that. Most cities are. It's actually not too hard to achieve that. But our tree dedication ceremony will be this Arbor Day. That's going to be at a park with a council member. I'll share details on that event so people can attend if they want. That's going to be in attendance with about 50 third graders that will walk over and plant the trees with us. And also, this is not an endorsement if you don't like soccer, but the new soccer club here, the men's team was named Forest City. I know they interviewed Sarah Tilley. That was pretty shocking. That was really exciting. And I think it have momentum. And it's a great name and beautiful logo. So our new purpose statement is to grow the next generation of Cleveland. I intentionally left out the word tree or people because it means both. We cannot care for the trees if we don't grow our people. So this is the new purpose of our division. these purpose statements, these mission statements, they are shared with council on an annual basis. So how do we grow the next generation in Cleveland? Number one, through good careers, good paying jobs. The supply and the demand for tree care is never ending. You can never meet that demand. And the city of Cleveland, now that we're a division, can be a resource for these good careers. We also need to support the industry at large. That means attending these events, being an ambassador for the industry at large, work well with contractors or prospective contractors. People going into this industry. Number two, reforestation. I know there's groups here today that have really shouldered the burden on tree planting within the city for many, many years. That's great. I hope you guys continue those efforts, of course. But the city has the money, we have the resources to plant trees ourselves. Last meeting, I think I reported that we planted a little over 300 trees last year. That was the biggest number in many years. Unfortunately, that's far too low. My goal is to plant at a 2:1 ratio. So on average, we remove about 1,000 trees a year. We have the money, we have the time. We just need the resolve to do our jobs. And our goal is to plant 2,000 trees per year as an in-house unit. And then third, I thought about this quite a bit. Of course, we need to do engagement. There's so many different things we can do, but as a city entity, we need to be the center of policy. We need to have a good ordinance, one that makes sense. The policy committee has looked at this for a couple of years. I think we've drawn the same conclusions. It's disjointed, it's outdated. And some of the things that are great about our current ordinance just were never, there was no enforcement, unfortunately. So it was really collecting dust. So really as a division, we're giving rise to this dead document, essentially. Something, just to give you guys an example, a couple of weeks ago, we had a contractor inadvertently damage a 38-inch diameter sycamore. That's a very large tree. It was kind of an accident. They didn't have intent to kill a tree or damage it, but we were using the ordinance to pursue damages. Okay, before you guys were a division, we just, for a number of reasons, there would be no pursuit in those damages. Okay, so trees are damaged all the time, and now we're going after that contractor. Let's talk a little bit about the program. I want this commission to kind of be aware of where we're at. So this is a luncheon we had at the Rockefeller Greenhouse this year. Right now, over 50% of our field arborist positions are not filled. Only 2 field arborist positions have been hired within the last, I think, 3 or 4 years. And we have a very senior staff, which can be great. We have a gentleman on the screen there. He's been pruning trees with the city since 1998. He has a lot of stories. Great sense of humor, too. But, to grow the next generation of Cleveland, it's going to start with our workforce. I need to rebuild this. There's a good kind of core group and a good foundation. But work will not get done if I don't have staff. So my number one goal as the commissioner is to build a team. I'm going to hire the foresters and the arborists that care about the trees, but I need to really this first year, I need to think about who does the work. Let's break this down a little bit. Right now, we have the commissioner, that's me. New position. The urban forest manager has historically been in charge. That person oversaw 5 project managers. There was no hierarchy within those project managers. They would roam the city, write prescriptions. They're great project managers. They're all certified arborists. And right now, 9 field arborists in 2 categories. We have a crew leader position, then a non-crew leader position. Great people. I call them just tree people. It wasn't a division. And I think a lot of chaos too. Now we're building something special. So we have the commissioner, we're adding a deputy commissioner position. The city arborist position will be new. That person will oversee enforcement, the city code, site plans, permits, and special projects with MOCAP. We have the new director of maintenance that will be overseeing the staff in the field to execute work, whether that's storms, reactive work, or proactive work. That person will serve 2 district foresters. So we have 2 offices, one at the zoo on the west side, and the other one's at the Rockefeller Greenhouse. So they're essentially branch managers, and then 2 project managers that will help write the prescriptions and work along with the 2 district foresters. Essentially what we did there is the 5 project managers is being split. So there's hierarchy, there's accountability. It's going from 5 project managers to the director of maintenance, 2 district foresters, and 2 project managers. Hopefully that makes sense. The city arborist will not oversee maintenance at all. So they're being taken out of that responsibility. We need to build the staff big time. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. So Urban Forestry Division of City of Cleveland is definitely hiring. One of the things that I did this year, this quarter, was I dropped the 2-year requirement for entry-level role. That was a barrier. I think it's crazy to have 2 years requirement for tree care when you're looking for people with no experience, right? But that blocked a lot of people from working with the city. But my goal in the next 3 years, can we get this to 5 or 24, 24 people that are in the field? That's how it was a few years ago. A few years ago, there was up to about 24, 22 people working with this group. Now we're down to 9. So there's been extreme attrition the last 3 to 4 years. The reasons for those have been identified and are being dealt with. So I don't see any reasons why we can't grow to 24 more people in the staff serving the city of Cleveland in combination with contractors. We're going from 2 categories to 6 categories. So we'll have 3 arborists in the field, an arborist 1, an arborist 2, an arborist 3. That's different skill level. That's also for accountability. We're also going to add drivers that operate grapple trucks. We're trying to use less chippers, so it's less noisy, and we're trying to be more efficient, which grapple trucks provide. We're also trying to add a crane operator to help with removals that are necessary, and then also a technician to help oversee plant health care. Right now, we don't do any plant health care. I also have 2 positions that have a little asterisk by them. This is on the wish list. This is something that we can talk in the budget committee that we're going to need to get some funding for. But having a planting coordinator, we have enough dollars here with the city of Cleveland to plant a lot of trees. A lot. And those funds just weren't used. So to help administer the resources that we do have, we need a full-time position to help execute this. And then also natural resource specialists. If you go into our natural areas, there's a lot of invasives. Really nobody. I know there's some volunteer groups in our community, but for the most part, the city's standoffish in those areas. We need to get active in those areas and start with eradication of our invasive species. So hopefully that makes sense. And we can go back to this slide if there's questions at the end. So when you hire people, you need more equipment. We do have a lot of equipment. We don't have the right equipment for modern staff. A good fleet saves the taxpayers money. It's efficient. It speeds up the work. We can only prune one tree at a time. We can only remove one tree at a time. We can only plant one tree at a time. So we need the right tools to expedite that process, especially storms. And we need to expand the practice of tree care, tree preservation. On the lower right is a truck that I'm pursuing that will help with plant health care with our trees. We're losing too many trees to common insects and common diseases. It's crazy. It's unacceptable. So we need to start doing that work. On the left is a tool that's been around for maybe 10 years, 15 years now. The market's matured and we need one. And I'm going to get one eventually. It's a grapple saw. So if you look at the end of that, there's a guy actually in the middle of that photo. You can see his green hat. He's just using a controller like a video game. And he is removing that large tree all by himself. He's probably doing it in about half the time compared to a crew of 4 people. It's safer, it's more efficient. But at the end is a claw, and on that claw is a chainsaw. So he is removing that tree all by himself. That equipment, again, has really matured. I've been using them in different scenarios for the last 10 years, and it's time for us to get one in-house. So I'm going to be working to convince everyone we need one, but it will save the city a lot of money, and we'll make sure those removals are done in a faster period of time. I touched upon this a little bit, but we need to be in the active business of reforestation. Right now, we are not. We're too dependent on our partners. We need to be another pillar. And again, I think based off the resources we have and planting at a 2-to-1 ratio, I think we can plant 2,000 trees per year. Not this year. You're going to see a big jump this year once we start this fall. We are planting a few trees this spring, but our program will be official this fall, and you're going to see exponential growth. We need a new approach too, so we are designing that new approach. Then finally, reform the tree code, follow through with an enforcement, and improve the permit experience so people can get work done. You know, this committee has done a lot of great work over the years. I think you guys did the first hard part, which was help establish the division. In that back. Now there is a division, there is a commissioner. Maybe your approach might change, maybe it won't. But there are things that we can use this body itself, the commission, to help elevate the urban canopy of Cleveland. Number one, arboretums. We know Holden, of course, that's a level 4 arboretum. But most people don't know that there's 4 levels of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Schools can be a level 1. Cemeteries, people don't know that these are arboretums until you walk through them. But the city of Cleveland has 0 arboretums, which is crazy again. I say that a lot, it's crazy. But it's very easy. And we have identified that and spoken to partners that the Rockefeller greenhouse will be our first arboretum of the city. They have, I believe, at least 25 tree species, which is what you need to be a level 1. And we're going to go through that process. Hopefully we can have more arboretums in the city, schools, cemeteries, etc. But I think this commission, maybe you have a separate committee, maybe you don't, can help with the oversight of those arboretums. To qualify, you do need a tree board for that arboretum. So, you know, in my mind, this body would actually function as the tree board for the city arboretums. Also, accreditation. Sustainable Forestry Initiative now has a standard that accredits communities. They bring in third-party auditors to ensure that you guys are following the rules and doing what you say. It is a community standard, not just a divisional standard. So if nonprofits are doing certain things or other neighborhood associations are doing things the city isn't, it's a combined effort. But I really believe that this commission could be a vehicle to help oversee the accreditation through SFI. Again, if you guys aren't interested in having that role, fine, but I think it's a good match. Third, we have started our urban wood initiative called Second Life. City of Cleveland right now, or historically, has not had one. The wood will go to the dumps. We're going to model this after the city of Baltimore and the city of Memphis. Now, I've spoken to them at length, and their programs were they weren't always this glamorous, what they have in those cities. They started out small. There was iterations to it, and that's what we're going to do. So first year, 2026, we are going to be the supplier. We need to find those partners that would at least take the wood. We need the woodworkers. We need the people who make, turn bowls, makes carved spoons. We don't really care. If you want wood, call us up, come to our shop. But I think this body can help be a vehicle to connect to that, to those partners, to those groups, but also to the industry, especially the people who can use our larger logs. If any of you drove around after the storm, you saw very large trees blown down. And it's sad, but historically those trees would just go to waste. Now we want to turn and donate those logs for the people who can use them. Okay, so we're going to be in kind of the first phase. And I think that this body, this commission could be a good vehicle to connect with the community at large for that. And of course, there's events and outreach. Community engagement is multifaceted. I think a lot of our partners already do a good job at that. But through the city, we do have very specific things that we could be doing, like our Arbor Day celebration in a couple of weeks, but also having like a tree fest. Helping to update our website, our webpage we need help with. So things that are really specific to the city. Those are my requests to the really committee chairs too, to see if this is a project, these are projects you guys are interested in. All right, May 16th, Saturday, 10 a.m. I'm inviting everybody here. We can walk under the canopy of the Rockefeller greenhouse. We can count the trees. We can identify the species. I'm going to share with you our risk assessment process when we do risk assessments every single day. We'll identify species, what to look for, and then we'll also kind of look at the paperwork and start the process of Rockefeller becoming an arboretum. Now, if you look at the photo, of course, I have perennials, annuals in the photo, because that also happens to be the plant sale on May 16th, starting at 10 a.m. So show up, walk around with me for 45 minutes, and then go buy some plants. And we can communicate through email for that event. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Phil. I have a few questions. Wondering if you can do a tour sometime when it's not tree planting season. I'm going to be leading volunteers to plant trees over at Humphrey Park on the 16th.
Absolutely. Oh, on the 16th?
Yeah.
At what time?
10 to 1. You're welcome to join us.
Okay, come afterwards. Okay, sure.
Yeah, sure. Historically, when the Holden family was looking to start an arboretum, they debated between Lakeview Cemetery and the current Holden site out in Kirtland, and Kirtland won. But if you go through Lakeview Cemetery, it's one of my favorite places in the city, with all the mature trees and they're labeled and there's human history and so yeah, I mean, it is a private cemetery, but it's maybe something we want to emulate other places.
Thanks, Laura.
Excuse me, sorry, I do, we have 2 minutes left and we have one person signed up for public comment and one online, so I just want to make sure we do hear that. If the chair would allow, I definitely want to also allow the opportunity to ask questions. I disregard that. Go ahead. Sorry, I had the wrong time written down here.
I admit I did a terrible job of keeping track of time the last meeting, but this one I was on it. I do have a question for you, Phil. For can you go back to the staffing slide? You said something about that, you have these 5 project managers and you're creating these new positions, the director of maintenance, and a few others. Is that are those being created from your existing staff? Like those 5 project managers would then take on these new roles?
Great question. So short answer, yes. Some people on our staff right now are going to be promoted to fill some of these vacancies. Other vacancies are going to be posted to the public. For the field arborist level, that's union driven, so that there's different processes there. But short answer, yes. When we're looking at this framework, there was a study done in the 80s that by a third-party consultant that demonstrated what the structure should be. I was designing my structure first before I knew that this report existed. I found it, and then I kind of came to the same conclusions like it was in the 80s. We're still pruning trees or removing trees like we did 100 years ago. Different methods, of course, but it requires people. And so the template that was designed in the late 80s still applies to today. It just, when the division disappeared, it was never implemented. So it's, running a large business with staff members, this many staff members myself, I know what we need to do to be efficient and provide value to the city. But this format does mirror what was in that report from, I think, 1989. But yeah, most of the people here will be, there's going to be new job titles, new classifications, and I'm working with civil service on that now on this reorganization process. To answer your question?
Yeah.
Candace?
Any other questions for Phil?
I do. I just want to say, awesome presentation, and I'm really, really excited to have you with the city of Cleveland. There's a lot going on with your presentation. I feel like we're at a point of time. I'm sorry, my microphone wasn't on, but I'm really excited for what I saw in your presentation, and I'm very, very hopeful for what this means for Cleveland's tree canopy.
Thanks, Zigby.
So I think this is a good segue into the conversation that I alluded to earlier, which is our current committee structure. And maybe I would just love to open the floor here for folks to sort of weigh in on what we feel like we need, what we should be doing, what we haven't been doing, how we can support this new division with our work.
So the question I have is why are we dependent on city staff to host meetings? Is that something that's required, or is that something that we can get away from?
Yeah, through the chair, I can jump into that partially. So my understanding right now is mainly the software systems that we're using to host our committee meetings. Right now, we are using software through Cisco products, Webinar on WebEx, and that's primarily because we had started using a Zoom virtual platform, but one of the meetings we had was interrupted. Somebody, had shared the screen and sound to obstruct the meeting. And so that's why we transitioned to WebEx webinar platform. And so I'm sure, we can attempt to continue conversation with our IT division to come up with a better platform that's more accessible for the staff as well as the members of the commission as well as participants from the public. But that's my understanding why we transitioned.
Okay, so somebody like uninvited came to the meeting, is that?
That's partially correct. And so like we pretty much had a link to join and distributed it. So it could end up anywhere. The issue I think was the restriction of anybody joining with any capabilities.
Yeah, that was definitely my experience when that happened. And I think it was a good, right idea to transition to using the Lex platform. I do think there are opportunities to transition back to a maybe less restrictive platform like Zoom, given that subcommittee chairs, the people who are starting those meetings, institute policies of the people who are joining. Right, like if you have a Zoom webinar instead, that the people who are joining are automatically muted, off video, can't share their screen, and then to just promote only members of the subcommittees and third-party guests who we've been invited to speak. I've seen it used many times. I think it would function. So I definitely think what you're pointing out is a problem with an easy solution.
Sorry, we do post the meeting link publicly. Is it possible, Xavier, to have a non-city employee host on WebEx, or is that's the limitation? Is that it has to be a city employee specifically for WebEx?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, I could definitely dig into it more and figure out if there's opportunity for us to make accounts solely for this commission for like the chair member, for example, to have so we can start our own meetings. I could definitely ask.
I mean, I don't want to create additional work for people. I mean, if people are open to trying Zoom again, I mean, it's up to you all. I don't want to, take down barriers, not create more.
I don't think this is necessarily a decision that this commission can make. I think that didn't it become a citywide policy after that event that to try to increase security?
Xavier, do you know, is it a citywide policy for the commission?
I do have to seek further clarification. My understanding is that, like for our web hearings, we have to make sure that they are accessible to the public if it is a virtual platform.
Okay.
I guess I'm not in the same communications as Brittany Montgomery might have been in the past. That may have strictly stated why we're using WebEx.
Well, Jen, do we need the committee meetings to be public at all? Because if they are just voting to raise up points to this body, which is public and on, full viewing, can't people just meet at a coffee shop or have conversations, together? What are your thoughts on that?
My understanding was that they all had to be publicly available whether we were voting or not. But especially even if we were voting in a committee meeting to bring something to the commission, that would still have to be a public meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. And I think changing that from, and I've sat on this commission through 3 different chairs, as many people have, would require changing our ordinance and our own regulations. And even going back to the comment on WebEx right now, that is our regulation for ourselves. So we would have to change how we govern ourselves.
Okay, so we're back to finding out if committee chairs can have access to host meetings via WebEx.
Yes, that is certainly something that Xavier and I can look into that.
Okay.
And what the requirements are around public meetings, whether we can do these perhaps a little bit more informally. But is it an issue of access to committees and really just technology, or do we feel like there are committees that we need to have, roles that need to be taken on in some committees, things that we're like, hey, we've succeeded at this, and maybe there isn't any further work to be done by the commission.
I'll speak to that. If I weren't chair of the policy committee, I would be very interested in an arboretum committee and or a public information committee, and I'm very interested in this body supporting urban forestry in those efforts. I think that seems like a low hanging fruit for us, and I think would benefit the city broadly. So I'm personally not, I think, in a position to join another committee, but I definitely support the idea that we would help expand arboretums, both the number of them and knowledge of them throughout the city, as well as just more public facing pro tree and pro urban forestry events and programming.
Yeah, I agree with Tom. I think, with Phil here, there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. There are a lot of things we've been discussing for a long time that are on the table, that are happening. Goals are shifting. And I think his suggestions for what we're able to do are good suggestions. I agree with Tom that having an arboretum subcommittee sounds really interesting to me. I think it's something we are capable of doing. I also think connecting to some of the goals the maintenance committee has held previously that I think now are under the Division of Urban Forestry, but also connecting to that goal of community engagement, that when you look around these tables right now, you see people with huge networks all about trees in the city of Cleveland that are truly fantastic resources. So if there was, whether it's a separate subcommittee or a redirection of the current maintenance committee, whatever it would look like, if greater community engagement is what we desire, I think that's something this commission is capable of executing.
Phil, I'm going to put you on the spot. Of the work that we've been doing, I'm going to take policy committee as an example. What are you looking for as far as do you want recommendations for policy changes to pursue? Do you want would the division benefit from, workshopping potential changes to, ordinances, anything like that? Kind of open-ended. But...
you know, I've only been here 6 months, but I've had to diagnose the past to see why we are the way we are today um, for the division. And from what I understand, this commission really was trying to help urban forestry. And I think the philosophy needs to shift that the division itself does want to utilize the commission, the people, your networks for things that we can't necessarily reach, things on the peripheral that, like the arboretum, we have to have a tree board for that, right? I can't do that with city employees. But I think the philosophy of the commission should shift from how do we help get urban forestry off the ground and functional and capable. I won't accept incompetence anymore. So we don't necessarily need the committee or the committees and the commission itself to help make recommendations to the division per se. I don't think that should be the sole role. You guys are taxpayers, many of you in this room. I serve you. Our division serves you. We always need to listen to that advice. But in terms of a formal body and your main objective is to give urban forestry advice, we've outgrown that now. Now we need to be a pillar, and this should be more of a medium where the urban forestry division helps utilize, and we kind of work more in tandem. So just some of the things I shared with today are just some of the examples of things we can kind of do in the interim that we do need help on. Those are things that my staff, we can do them, but we can't do them well, right? So I think that we should, for things that are really formal, whether they're budget, whether they're policies, those things are very important, but they're not evergreen tasks. They're not things that you can meet with at, every quarter. There's time cycles that are involved there. I think we should look at, deploying ad hoc committees more frequently. I mean, we could have a couple core committees with many ad hoc committees that come and go when necessary. So the role of policy discussions are important in this body. The role of budget is also important in this body. But should they be year-round committees? I'm not so sure about that. It might be a waste of resources. We have so many different things that we can be doing and should be doing that I think the commission itself should broaden its horizon and kind of increase its field of vision here. So that's kind of my feedback there.
Would anyone be interested in an ad hoc committee to talk about what committees we should have? I'll let you guys think about that. I'll put that out in an email.
To that point, we have a policy committee now, but if we, are successful in, revamping the tree ordinances that are on the books, then perhaps that committee isn't as necessary once that mission is accomplished. And then we can pivot, people on that committee can pivot and refocus on something else. And right now that committee, there's a lot to do on that committee.
Well, I know we're running out of time here, and we have a few public commenters here, but I do just want to say I am always open to, if folks, I'm going to ask this. Would folks care to just send me all of your feedback? I will be, what do you want to be getting out of this? What do you want this commission to be? I think we're really at a point now where we need to think about what do the next, 3 to 5 years of this commission look like, and we haven't really done that. I would love to hear everyone's feedback And I will follow up about, perhaps another meeting to talk about committees and to talk about just what we are here and where we want to go. Any other comments, questions, anything for Phil before public comment?
Just to the point of what the policy committee has been looking at and the suggestions about rewriting the ordinance. In fact, my division of engineering and construction, we've rewritten ordinances, taken them to council. We know what we need to get things done too. I'm not saying the policy committee doesn't have a good idea, but it sounds like Bill and his group may have a better idea. I mean, we may be of some assistance, but I think it's a better way to go when the division that is looking to change, make the changes, understanding what they want, presenting them to council, having law look at them first, I should say, and then presenting them to council and see if they can get them modified. Just a thought.
Yeah, I definitely feel, and I'm not sure if I feel this way because I'm a student, and whether you all have a different experience, but that I have the capacity to take more concrete action, to be a participant in more conversations, to perhaps achieve smaller goals more regularly. I think we as a commission and all of our subcommittees have the capacity to do that. And yeah, so on that note, I think it's important to continue this discussion. I think it's important to kind of reconsider what subcommittees we have, what direct action can be taken. And on a different note, I think another way we can continue efficiency continuity with the hiring or the appointing of new people to this commission is by engaging the members who sit in these seats now more in the hiring process of inviting new people to sit in these chairs. I mean, as our youth commissioner, going to college, it's definitely something I'm thinking about, and I would love to be engaged in the process of helping whoever comes to sit in this chair understand what it is, who is here, and how they can spend their time not just learning like I have been learning, but taking concrete action. So just my thoughts.
Thank you, Janan. Anything else? All right. With that, I will turn it over to Xavier for public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Xavier Bay, so we'll go ahead and see who we have signed in for public comment. Looks like our one and only in-person applicant or commenter is Michael Armstrong. Yes. Do you click that red square so that the recording can pick up your voice?
Right, I think I got this right. Yeah, I've been coming down here and speaking for a few years now, and I would say that I'm more encouraged today with a new vision, as opposed to just kind of some discussions about some type of a technical implementation, which I know are important. But your chapter 163 that organizes this commission does call out the public policy as part of your purpose. And there's also, you're also a public advisory commission, an advisory, and it does mention maintenance and public policy in there. And I think it's section D, and speaking about protecting trees during construction and development. And I think that's very important. I do think just kind of being out there in the community, the city can also be setting an example. In the past, I've spoken about several acres of urban forest cut down on the west side for the old Lorraine Connector Trail. And I know there was no advisory overlook on that one. And I know there's some other things that go on in terms of different departments in the city, such as Cleveland Public Power tying trees to anchoring trees to utility poles. They had that one on Clifton. There was one recently on West 65th Street. So, I've spoken to, I think it's the traffic department mailing notices to trees, and prior, a year ago, Urban Forestry telling me that that's okay. Even though you have an ordinance that, or section in the city code that says you can't do that. So the city needs to set a better example. And I think if you want to just, if you're interested in this tonight, go outside City Hall and take a look at the project that's been going on with the facade. And you'll see the damage done to the city-owned trees right here at City Hall, including a crane that's damaged a tree out here as you enter the garage off of Lakeside. So I think that's something you can do is work on your, look at the maintenance and the public policy. And let's see if there's anything else. I think that's good enough for today. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have received online public comment. And so this one is from Angela. I'm sorry, I'm going to say your last name wrong. Shakahos. I'm sorry. Thank you, Shakosi. And so Angela states 2 trees were recently cut down from the tree lawn at the southeast corner of Clifton Boulevard and West 115th Street. There are end bridge flags along the tree lawn near where the trees stood. She'd like to know the following. 1, why these trees were cut down. 2, was there a process and bridgehead to navigate with this commission in order to have the trees removed? Parenthetically, if they were indeed removed because of utility work. Number 3, was there a public notification or other component to this process if one existed? Number 4, what is the plan to replace these trees? And finally, 5, if no public component existed, does this commission have a plan to create a process that could help save trees like these? I will mention that we will follow up with the necessary division or department to get answers to these questions and reply through your email.
Any announcements or events other than what's been shared today?
The group email we all share. Some people, you can see residents use that email for their tree questions that have nothing to do with the commission. I'm working through it. Any resident that reaches out and it's, service request related or something else, just assume I'm reaching out to them or our division is. So we look through those daily.
Great.
You can ignore those.
Any other events? Announcements, fun stuff. All right.
Since we have a moment, I'll plug our Arbor Day celebration at Thurgood Marshall Green. We're celebrating 10 years of the Reforest Our City program that I just mentioned. 10:30 a.m. in the Huff neighborhood at the new Thurgood Marshall Green Park. We'll be planting some trees and celebrating our farm. Thanks.
Else? All right, with that, thank you everyone for your time. I hope there's still some sun outside for folks to enjoy, and please do send me your feedback, thoughts on the future of the commission. I understand, this is kind of a little bit of, this is a lot to ask of folks who are volunteering for a commission to really do that thinking on, what you want to get out of this and what you want this commission to be. But I think this is important. I also understand that, we were developed as an advisory board and, we have different leadership in the division now with, who are hearing a lot of the the work that we've been doing and sort of evaluating on their own, you know, the need for potential changes to ordinances, things like that. So I understand that this would be, you know, there could be a little bit of a shift here from, you know, an advisory role to a sort of supportive role. I also understand, and I'm just going to say this as, you know, someone who does not work for the city, that there may be some, you know, distrust that the city can, you know, carry out what they say they're going to carry out. And that is for Phil to prove that, that he's going to pull it off. So yes, please send me all of your comments. I will probably be reaching out to everyone in the next month or so to sort of talk about this a little bit further as a group. And yeah, do I need a motion to adjourn? Is that a thing?
Second. So we'll go ahead. Oh, wait, sorry, somebody else has to make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Okay, I'll second. All the yays. I'll just.
Aye.
All who,
Aye.
Any who oppose, say nay. Hearing none, motion passes.
Thanks, everyone.